Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about pictures, about adding them and resizing them. There are really three types of pictures that we have to worry about on these Bloggorious sites. The first is the pictures that are in the slider on the home page. The second are the pictures from the blog page. These are these smaller pictures. And notice that even if you go to the main page, they're not that large as compared to the one on the home page. And just as a reminder, in the posts we're having these small pictures. The way we've set up the websites is that the home page images are on pages, not on posts. The other kind of picture is a picture that's inside of a post itself. And if we take a look at something like this, you can see that there's an image sitting inside of a post. So the first thing we have to understand is what size should they be? The sizes for pictures in websites and on the web in general are done in pixels. If you're familiar with that and you use Photoshop or Adobe Photoshop Elements or any other number of software packages such as Adobe Lightroom or Aperture on the Mac, you're probably somewhat familiar with pixels. So as a size, the front page, the home page slider, uses pixels around 960, 900 pixels wide, really depending upon the template that you're using. The templates that we're using for this site will do some resizing of images. They tend to resize down, they don't tend to resize up. So it's important to have an image that is at least as large as the area that you're trying to put your picture into. So given that, I would try to make my front page slider images at least 1,000 pixels wide. If you go much larger than that, what that does is it takes longer for the image to open up. And in the days of high-speed internet, usually it doesn't matter too much, but if you start having a lot of images on your site, you'll see that the entire site will take longer and longer. So we want to optimize the images as much as possible so that they're not too large. And then again, if you're on a phone system, if you're trying to look at things on an iPhone or an iPad mobily, it makes even more sense to keep the images as small as possible. So first, let's just talk about how to resize an image. I set up a new post. And for posts, images don't have to be as large as 960 for the front page. They can be in the range of 150 or 200, again, depending upon your template. So let's say we have a larger image and we want to resize it. One of the easy ways to do it is to use a website called Shrink Pictures. It's very simple. The post that I'm working on here is called Cool World War II Movie. It's actually a short that's put out by a guy named Nick Ryan, and I suggest that if you have the time, take a look at it. It's an excellent little short film. So I've already added the text for it. I've given it its title, and now I want to give it a featured image. I've downloaded an image off the web, and it's about 600 pixels wide, and I'd like to get it down to 250 pixels wide so I can add it in here. So what we do is we go to the Shrink Pictures website, which is shrinkpictures.com. In this case, I'm going to choose the file, which is on my desktop, called the German. Very simply choose that, and then select a new maximum image dimension. In this case, the image is a very wide image. We're going to choose 350 pixels, but again, you can sort of shrink it by a percentage, or if I was doing this for the home page and I was going to be one of the slider images, I would use 1,000 pixels here in the custom area. I'm not going to apply a special effect, but if you wanted sepia or grayscale, you could do that. And the image quality, I'm going to leave in the center at better. We hit resize. It uploads the image, gives you the new size, and then it gives you the option to download it as its new size. It's really that simple. And as you can see, so now we have the image. One of the things that I wanted to show you is that the original image was 750 pixels by 500, and now the new image size is 350 by 233, which is actually about a quarter, but this site will actually compress it even farther, so now that file is only 7K. All I have to do is download the picture. Here I'm going to right click on it, hit Save Image As, so I can save it back to the desktop. And we'll call it German Updated. There you go. We'll go back to our post. Go over here to Set Featured Image, which we've done before, and select that file, the German Updated. Choose it. Hit Use as Featured Image. Now we can see it there, and now we will publish it. And remember, we also published it. It was a blog category so that it stays within the blog. And now we can view that post. And we can see that we have the image in there. And if we look at the blog page, we have the image here as well. One other thing we can do, if you're looking at this image, we see that maybe it's a little bit off to the left. Let's go to our site. Let's go over to Media, which is where we store all our media, and here is the image that we were working on. Let's edit it. And you can see that the image is off a little bit here, so we edit the image. And as you can see, the image is actually much wider, and that's why the WordPress site automatically resized it to fit within that square space, but the image wasn't square, so it took what was in the middle. But if we want to make it square, then we can do that here by clicking on the crop button, and we can crop to the size that we want. Now on the right side here where it's the selection, you can see the numbers. So that was square where it was going, so let's use let's keep it square, in this case 232 by 232, and you can also sort of move it back and forth to get it where you want. Let's say we want it there, and you click on this again, and now the image is cropped. It's saved to save it, and now if we go back to the WordPress site, let's go to the site itself and to the blog page. Now you can see that the image has changed. So that's how you add a featured image. That's how you resize them and set them up. Now let's also talk about what if we wanted to take an image and stick it inside the post itself. So let's go back to that actual post. And let's say we wanted to add another picture from the movie inside of the text itself. Let me just make you aware of one thing. Let's go back to the blog page. You have a big image here. Let's say I decided to put the image over here. It's going to just sort of fight with this image because they're going to be too close to each other. They're going to mess up the structure of the type. So when you put in a picture, you want to make sure that you put a picture in a place that's not going to interfere with the picture at the top. Let's say in this case, it would probably be good to put it somewhere in here, in between the two paragraphs. So let's go back over here. When you're looking at this area, you don't see that first image. So just remember that that featured image is stuck in there. Okay, so if we wanted to put an image somewhere, let's put it here. We need to make a space for it. And then you add media, here, upload, insert. In this case, I've taken another picture, I've put it on my desktop. Also note that the area that the blog is in is about 600 pixels wide. So that gives you an indication of the size of the picture you might want to put in. The picture that I'm using, I resized to 250 pixels. So let's get that image. And there's the image, it's actually 255 pixels. The difference here is that usually we hit use as a featured image because it's going to be a featured image, but this isn't a featured image. It's an image that's in a post, so we're going to hit insert into post. You can choose whether you wanted a small or a large image and how you want your alignment. The alignment is an interesting piece, because if it's left, your words will wrap around the right side of the image. If it's to the right, the words will wrap on the left, and if it's center, then there'll be no wrap at all, and the image will just be sitting in the center. In this case, we don't know how it might look, so you might have to try it a couple of times to see what it looks like. Here I'm going to leave it as left and as a full-size image. I'm going to insert it into the post. And you can see it did do some wrapping. Might look a little funny because it's going outside of the edge of the article, but the best way to look at that is to hit the preview. Actually, it isn't so bad. I'm going to leave it that way. But if you wanted to, you can then either move it just by cutting and pasting, or you can delete it and bring it in again. One other thing I want to show you before we actually go to publish this is that once an image is inside of the post, there's a couple of other things that you can do. So if you click on the image, you see this is a delete button, and this is for a little bit of extra stuff that you can do to the picture. So let's bring up that screen. This was the screen kind of the way you saw it before when we were entering the image. See, as you can see left, see how it word wraps? Center, that's what it would look like. And right, that's what it would look like. And none, it's like that. So again, we were keeping it left. You can also do a little bit of resize here after the fact. If you decided the image was a little too big, you don't have to go out and resize it again. You can do the resizes here. So let's just say we wanted to resize it to 80%, we would hit 80% and it would resize to that. In the advanced settings, but here at the image properties, there's borders and vertical space and horizontal space. In this case, I might want to put in a 1 pixel or 2 pixel border just to make it look a little nicer. You'll see what happens, just puts a black border around the image. And we needed that little bit of extra horizontal space. That means space on the sides as opposed to space on the top, which is the vertical space. Here, let's give it a couple of pixels as well and update it. And now we can see there's a little bit of a box around it, and there's a little bit of space in here. So we can now update that and view the post to make sure it looks okay. And you can see it's pretty much okay. And that's how we resize images, and hopefully that answers some of your questions. I hope you keep coming, and I hope these videos are helping. Thanks, and talk to you again soon.